I think it's very important when you have the best players in the world together, you got to compete and you got to play hard and you got to show the fans how good they really.
Everyone talks about Caitlin Clark's deep shooting as her ultimate weapon, but that's not what really separates her. And according to Larry Bird, that's not even close to the truth. Behind the scenes, in a moment that only recently started circulating, Bird gave Clark a piece of advice that didn't just tweak her game. It completely reshaped how she carries herself on the court and how she's handling the weight of an entire league. And if you're expecting it to be about shooting, scoring, or highlights, you're already thinking too small, because Larry Bird doesn't throw around praise lightly. He's one of the toughest judges of greatness the game has ever seen. So when he finally connected with the Indiana Fever's rising superstar, people expected a symbolic passing of the torch moment. Instead, what came out of that meeting was something much heavier, a reality check. Today we're diving into the real connection between Bird and Clark, the advice that quietly reshaped her rookie season, and why Bird believes she's the first player in decades who truly understands basketball on a deeper, almost psychological level. It starts with where they come from. Larry Bird, French Lick, Indiana. Caitlin Clark, West Des Moines, Iowa. Different eras, same roots. But this isn't just about small town beginnings, it's about timing and pressure. When Bird entered the NBA in 1979, the league was struggling to stay relevant. Ratings were low, fans were disengaged, and the product needed something or someone to bring it back to life. Bird didn't just dominate, he made people care again. Fast forward to today, and the WNBA found itself in a very similar position. Then came Caitlin Clark. Her impact hasn't just been noticeable, it's been undeniable. This isn't hype, it's numbers. When Clark missed time early in the 2025 season due to a minor injury, viewership didn't just drop, it collapsed by over 50%. That's not a star effect, that's a league-altering presence. And Larry Bird saw it immediately because he's lived it. He understands what it means to walk into a league as a rookie and instantly carry expectations, attention, and pressure, all while having a target on your back every single night. So when the two finally sat down, Bird didn't waste time talking about her shooting mechanics or offensive skill set. He focused on something far more important: the pressure, the attention, and the reality of being the one. According to league insiders, Bird's message centered around something most players never truly master: silence. Not literal silence, but composure. Because early in her career, Caitlin Clark was reacting to everything: the physical defense, the hard fouls, especially from players like Chennedy Carter, the noise on social media, the constant tests from veterans trying to welcome her to the league the hard way. She felt it, she responded to it, and that's exactly what Bird wanted to change. Because in his eyes, the truly great players don't react, they—
Previous foul is under review.
Yeah, and it looks like she was just going to cut. It doesn't look like there's any intent right there.
Control. But here's the twist: Larry Bird didn't believe Caitlin Clark needed to respond at all. In his eyes, reacting was the problem. His message was simple but powerful: don't beat opponents with words. Beat them by turning their own expectations against them, because the second you show frustration, you've already lost part of the battle. That's exactly what defenders, critics, and enforcers are hoping for: a reaction, a crack in the armor. Bird made it clear, never give them that satisfaction. He even pointed back to one of the most intense eras in basketball history: the Celtics versus Lakers rivalry in the 80s. Magic Johnson played with joy, with a smile. Larry Bird, he was cold, calculated, an assassin. And that's exactly what he saw in Caitlin Clark, that same killer instinct, but in his view, she was misusing it, wasting energy arguing with referees instead of dominating the game itself. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Because after that conversation, something changed. Not just in how Clark carried herself, but in how she performed. Her numbers didn't just improve, they exploded in the second half of the season. And this isn't just narrative, and the data backs it up. Tracking analytics show a clear shift, which brings us to the real turning point: the adjustment, the evolution, the moment Caitlin Clark started mastering something most players never fully understand: her gravity. To really see the difference, you have to go beyond the box score and study the film. Because before that meeting with Bird, Clark wasn't just playing basketball. No, she was carrying the full weight of being Caitlin Clark.
Describe this moment for women's basketball and what it has felt like from your vantage point.
I think I wanted AD to get that.
She was taking those deep logo threes, but not always at the right moments. A lot of the time, it felt like she was feeding the moment, giving the crowd what they came to see after paying top dollar just to watch her pull up from deep. And while that created incredible highlight clips, it came at a cost, because that style of play, chasing the big moment instead of controlling it, started to hurt her efficiency. The flashy plays were there, but so were the mistakes. Her assist to turnover ratio became inconsistent, and it showed during those early rookie games. It was exciting basketball, but it wasn't winning basketball. Then
Largest lead for either team has been 7. Clark with the kick out to Samuelson. At the end of the quarter, knocks it down. Her third 3 of the half.
everything shifted. According to reports, when Larry Bird sat down with Caitlin Clark, he simplified the game in a way only a basketball mind like his can. He looked at her and basically said this: "You're the only player on that floor who sees everything. Your teammates, the defense, the rotations, all of it. And yet you're still giving them exactly what they're expecting. In other words, you're playing their game." His message was clear: stop reacting to defenses. Start controlling them. Force them to adjust to you. That conversation sparked a complete turning point, because when you go back and watch the film after that moment, the change is impossible to miss. And here's the key: it wasn't just about scoring, it was about gravity. That's the real Larry Bird trait. Bird didn't dominate by just putting up points. He controlled the entire floor without even touching the ball at times. He bent defenses with his presence alone, and suddenly Caitlin Clark started doing the exact same thing. Her decision making sped up. The ball started moving earlier, sometimes a full second or two faster than before. Instead of holding onto it and inviting pressure, she would fire a hit-ahead pass instantly, or find the open shooter the second a double team even hinted at forming. Just like that, the blitzes stopped working. Defenses that once trapped her near half court suddenly hesitated. They couldn't afford to overcommit anymore, because she was punishing every mistake instantly. That patience, that control, didn't just elevate her numbers, it transformed the entire Indiana Fever system. What used to look predictable became dynamic. Teammates started thriving in space, and the offense finally opened up in ways it hadn't before. And the biggest winner, Aaliyah Boston. With Clark pulling defenders toward her and then delivering perfectly timed entry passes, the paint opened up like never before. Boston went from battling traffic to operating with real freedom. The Fever went from a one-player highlight show to a legitimate multi-layered threat. But what Bird recognized in Clark went even deeper than that. He saw a reflection of his own biggest challenge: having a basketball IQ so advanced that even your own teammates struggle to keep up. Back in the 80s, Bird would throw passes to spots before his teammates even got there. He wasn't just ahead of the defense, he was ahead of his own team. So what did he teach Clark? How to bridge that gap, how to simplify the game for everyone else without lowering her own understanding of it. Put the ball exactly where it needs to be. Make the right play feel easy for your teammates, while you handle the complexity behind the scenes. And that's when everything clicked. She stopped playing against defenders and started controlling the entire rhythm of the game itself. But Bird didn't stop there, because his most explosive take wasn't about her game, it was about her value. In a 2025 interview that sent shockwaves across the league, Bird made something very clear: Caitlin Clark shouldn't just be viewed as a player, she should be treated like a franchise. He didn't hold back when addressing how veterans had treated her early on either. To him, it all felt familiar. He'd seen it before, because he lived it. When Bird entered the NBA in 1979, he faced the same resentment. Veterans didn't like the attention he was getting. They didn't like a rookie stepping into the spotlight. But eventually, they understood, because Bird wasn't taking anything from them. He was elevating everything around them. As he put it in his own blunt way, the smart players realized he was the reason their paychecks were about to grow. And in his eyes, Caitlin Clark is that same force, a rising tide that lifts the entire league, which leads to the harsh reality he made her accept: if you're fighting her, you're only hurting yourself. That was the mindset shift he pushed onto her. You're not just playing for the Indiana Fever anymore. You represent the future of the league. That realization changed everything. It wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about identity. Bird helped her stop chasing approval from veterans and critics, and instead embrace the role everyone was already placing on her: the villain, the star, the center of attention. Because in professional sports, respect isn't handed out politely after the game. It's taken. Instead of downplaying the sold-out arenas and record-breaking TV numbers, Caitlin Clark flipped the script. She stopped treating the spotlight like pressure and started using it as leverage because she finally understood something most players never do. The attention she draws off the court is just as dangerous as the attention she commands on it, and that shift showed up when it mattered most. The 2025 playoffs. What we saw wasn't the same player from early in her rookie year. The one reacting to everything, caught up in the chaos. No. This was controlled, focused, ruthless. This was an assassin wearing a Fever jersey. Her composure hit a different level. The killer instinct, sharper than ever. And then came that signature edge. The quiet, bird-like confidence. No talking, no extra emotion, just actions. Pulling up from deep, turning away before the shot even drops, and leaving the opposing bench frozen with nothing but a cold stare. That's not just confidence, that's control. She stopped wasting energy on referees, stopped getting pulled into distractions, and started dictating everything. The pace, the pressure, the outcome. By the time Indiana pushed deep into the playoffs, one thing was obvious. Caitlin Clark wasn't just playing the game anymore. She was running it, and that's where the legacy conversation begins. Larry Bird has never been one to hand out comparisons, especially not to himself, but even he admitted something rare. When he watches Caitlin Clark, he sees a level of command over the game that he thought disappeared with his era, and that says everything, because what he gave her wasn't just advice. It was a mindset shift that changed the trajectory of her career, and in many ways, the league itself. It didn't just elevate her rookie season, it kept the WNBA's momentum alive. It turned hype into dominance, potential into legacy. This wasn't just a passing of the torch, it was lighting a fire the entire league could feel. Larry Bird recognized what Caitlin Clark was becoming before the rest of the world fully caught on. And more importantly, he showed her how to embrace it. The pressure, the attention, the target on her back. He didn't just help her get through her rookie season, he helped her take over. Now, the hick from French Lick and the new face of the Heartland have sent a message to the entire basketball world. The game is evolving, and there's no turning back. So now the question is, was Bird's advice the real catalyst behind the Fever's playoff surge? Drop your take in the comments.